This shit is so spooky. Black power, everybody.
I don't think they can hear you yet.
Is this music from the movie? Black power, DP. Black power, Muhammadu. We gonna get into it. It's a lot. It's a lot in this movie, y'all. Whew. Spoiler alert. We gotta put spoiler. Jump on in the room. Share it into the group. Share it into the nerd group. Share it into your commie groups. Share, wherever, whatever groups you in. Alrighty. Black power, and welcome to another episode of Proper-gander, where we take an anti-colonial, anti-imperialist, and anti-capitalist stance or review of modern media, that is comic books, movies, video games, whatever, wherever there is imperialist colonial narratives. We're tackling that and we're exposing them so our people will see through that BS. I'm gonna be trying to curse less because I know that who knows where this might go. I don't want to come off as like crude. This episode we're doing Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. A very controversial movie already before it even came out. When it first premiered in a film festival, people already had their hot takes ready, and they're all kind of BS. They're kind of white-centered or just generally concerned that the Joker could be a hero for incels and things of that nature. But I disagree with that point, and I want to get into it. First of all, I want to say that this is a program of Black Hammer, which I'm a part of. We are an anti-colonial revolutionary organization fighting for the liberation of indigenous and black people all over the globe. And if you want to be a part of that, if you want to make dope content like this, if you want to do protests or fight for the liberation of our black and brown children, please join at blackhammer.org. Sign up. And yeah, so I guess I'm gonna run down a quick summary of the movie. Spoilers. We're gonna get into the nitty gritty. I want to like generally go over what happens in the movie. Joker's like a really famous comic book character, so if you don't know, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird. But yeah, Joker is about this man named Arthur who lives in poverty and takes care of his mom and works as a part-time clown for hire. He's struggling with his job, and he's in and out of mental facilities. Him and his mother are both on medication, and he's struggling to keep his job as a clown, pretty much. You see him get robbed. You see him do all kinds of like silly shit that puts his job in jeopardy, and eventually they fire him, which, oh man, I just seen it yesterday. It's like barely fresh in my head. I'm so critical. Yeah, you see him pretty much go, like, life kind of like beats him up a bit, like with besides getting robbed, like he's very lonely. You could see like he has like fantasies about like his downstairs neighbor or down the hall neighbor. What else?
The train.
Oh yeah, like it apparently like Gotham is in this really bad state. It's like the first thing that they say. He's in and out of therapy. Typical, just not mentally all there character. And eventually his his mom, like his mom used to work for Wayne Enterprises and continuously writes the Wayne Enterprises. So in the hopes that Bruce Wayne, Thomas Wayne, who's Bruce Wayne's dad, would lift them out of poverty, essentially. And Arthur, who becomes the Joker eventually, he is resentful to his mom for maintaining like that kind of relationship where she's like constantly asking this dude to get her out of poverty. But it turns out that his mom thought that that Thomas Wayne is his dad. So he gets to the point where he feels like his dad supposedly owes him something. Thomas Wayne is like this like billionaire. Dang, this summary is like all over the place. I'm so critical, but yeah, Thomas Wayne is he's almost like a Trump figure in this movie, essentially. He's a billionaire and he's running for mayor, and the Joker, or I should say Arthur, is over here looking at him run for mayor, and the city's just in constant decay. There's a lot of protest and unrest and stuff like that. It obviously mirrors what's going on today with like all these protests going on against the billionaires. In fact, like there's times where you could see the newspapers and they say things like "kill the rich," a new movement, which obviously has like political undertones. Yeah, I can't fully summarize this movie. Pretty much, like, bottom line, it's a man in poverty. It's a man who is mentally unstable, and you see him devolve into this crazy character that is the Joker. It's his downfall, essentially. A lot of people talk about how the Joker kind of is like a hero for incels, and how it may be irresponsible for this movie to come out in such a tumultuous time, where people are shooting up schools and things like that. And the Joker, obviously, he has like a kind of sense of humor or whatever, but it's kind of dark. But he even like jokes about how he used to not like school and things like that, like implying that connection of school shootings and this incel person. That's a basic analysis that people have in general watching this movie, but I don't unite with that analysis. I do think that the Joker is a representation of incels in a way that there's that aspect, but I mostly think that the Joker is representative of what would be known as an SJW, or a social justice warrior, or a leftist in general, because this person, he needs welfare, he needs medicine from the state, right? His mother writes this billionaire as if like to say that they feel like the billionaires owe them, right? And he gets really flustered when people are rude to him, as if he's being triggered, right? So I think this character is more of a comment on that culture, on PC culture. And I think it's evident because the director even kind of spoke to this himself. He said that
They listed the gun, and I hope my death has more meaning than my life did.
You said what? I hope death has more meaning than my life did. Black Power Billy, what up? What do you think is the significance of that phrase, by the way? I would want to know. Yeah, I'm trying to get people more involved. So if y'all see this movie, let me know what went down. I can't really like summarize the whole movie. There's a lot of things to summarize, so I guess I'm just gonna like politically sum this up. The director himself, the director is the dude from The Hangover. And he said, go try to be funny nowadays with this woke culture. All the fucking funny guys are like, fuck this shit because I don't want to offend you. Phillips admitted to channeling that edgy, angry tone into Joker. So, with that being said, it's obviously like a commentary of that he thinks that that people like him, people that are like SJWs are agents of chaos that seek to set society on fire. You know what I'm saying? Like that want to see society burn because they want a better society. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's it should be obvious, but a lot of people aren't getting that. Yeah, white people seem to be scared that this movie will sway people into violence. Before there have been like shootings like in movie theaters with supposedly like having connotations to the Joker. They associate that with the Joker character, like acts of violence like that. I forgot what it was, but it was a shooting in Colorado that happened when The Dark Knight first appeared. So this incel narrative comes from that kind of viewpoint that like the character incites violence, but that's not really true. Like imperialism incites violence. Like the characters. Like no movie can bring you into violence. Like the reality is that being American, being white, and like having to loot other countries requires a violent mindset of the populace. Y'all get what I'm saying? So the violence is there. The violence is innate to your culture because that's how you economically develop as a culture. And I don't think white people understand that. Like no movie, however violent it may be, can like spur you into being like, oh man, now I'm gonna shoot something up. No, that was already there. You get what I'm saying? And I would even propose that the Joker's character isn't someone that brings you into violence, because in this movie, the violence is very real. There's a lot of weight to it, where like compared to like Deadpool, where he's like murdering like 200 people per second. There's a lot of weight to this violence. I would say that Batman, although he doesn't make an appearance here, unless you mean like as a child, Batman spurs people into more violence. That character is more violent than the Joker, because people look up to Batman. People are like, oh, look what he's doing. He's stopping crime using force. He's beating up bad people. The only difference is in real life, due to social programming and like just the general values of the society, bad people equates to brown and black people. They brown and black people are villainized. We are not valued in this world. So they want to emulate Batman because Batman stands for justice. That's what Batman stands for. They don't want to emulate Joker. He's like somebody crazy. The only people that want to emulate Joker is people who are like edgy, and they want to be like really like sadistic, or like have that like faint kind of oh, okay, my bad. I was looking at the comments. But yeah, I'm really self-critical about the summary. I can't like sum it up wholeheartedly, but there was a lot of things that stood out to me in this movie. It's just so much that I cannot like sit here and talk about all of it. But I do want to point out certain things that stood out, that what happened, as opposed to like summarizing it like the whole entire plot. I want to point out that the Joker, like the people that wrong him in this movie, are black and Hispanic people. It's really fucking weird. The very first scene, he gets beat up by a group of Hispanic kids and robbed by a group of Hispanic kids. And to contrast that, there's a scene where he's on the subway, and he is assailed. He's attacked by a group of like finance bros. You know what I'm saying? Like pretty much like a group of white people, like frat boys, pretty much. But the only reason he's attacked is because later on in the movie the only reason why he's attacked by those white people is because later on in the movie they make you feel sorry for those white people because he ends up like shooting them. I hope y'all seen that movie because like these are specific details. Like he ends up defending himself from the white people and shooting them up, but he's maniacal, so he does like really actually kill them. But later on that like they point out how that's bad and stuff like that. And I know in my heart, like y'all tell me if I'm reaching. Y'all tell me. But I know in my heart that they could not have done that if they would have had brown and black people beat him up and him shoot him down. Because then you couldn't garner that sympathy in the later scenes if they were black and brown bodies. Like, that's just not the way it's programmed. Like, white people are held up to that value where they're like, look, they were a victim of the Joker. The only reason why the white audience would garner this sympathy is because they're white. And it's some fuck shit. I think that people obviously got that incel like narrative drilled in their head, but even in the very first scenes, he's in therapy, and you see him talk about his troubles. And the very next scene, they're talking about he pretty much gets access to a gun, right? So in one scene, he's obviously being shown as someone who needs mental health issues, and then the very next scene, he's being given a gun. So I think right there, that's a statement of how people conflate the mental health and gun issue or whatever. They like, you see that it's in Fox News, it's in CNN, that the reason why shootings are happening is because of their mental health, which that is false. Shootings happen because white people be wilding. It's like they've been wilding for 500 years now. That's just the truth. They feel threatened in the society because we are asking for rights. We are protesting police brutality. We are protesting the ICE camps. We are exposing their institutions for the oppressive institutions that they are, so they're reacting. That's why people are doing school shootings. That's why people are like walking into Walmart. That's why white people are walking into Walmart and shooting the place up. It's because of their white nationalist tendencies. They feel scared. And I believe there's a woman named Nancy Ballou who wrote a book about charting all these different white terror attacks, like how I just described, and she links them to different white supremacist groups. So it's not a question of mental health like this movie portrays it as. This movie proposes a lot of questions as to like society and shit like that. Like, society made Joker into somebody crazy, and it's fucked up because the only answer to that they give you, and a lot of people have been reviewing the movie, and I've been seeing what they've been saying. They think that the movie leaves loose ends because you see society turn this person into Joker, and they're saying that there's no hope in the movie. There's no silver lining. Things don't get patched up at the end. But they're missing the point. The Joker is the bad guy for Batman. So the Joker creates all this chaos. He starts like a movement against rich people, essentially, like of utter chaos, right? And people think that the movie doesn't close that, but it ends with the birth of Batman. It ends with Batman's parents being murdered, and we know that Batman's gonna come. So really what they're proposing is that we need what white leftists call fascism to quell the crazy Antifas, the crazy leftists that want to see the world burn. We need a Batman. Batman is just a motherfucking like white vigilante. He's a white vigilante. Like, he has access to all these resources, but instead of giving the people, poor, oppressed people, instead of giving them opportunity to economically develop, he puts on a suit and then just beats them all up. That's a fucking white person's fucking wet dream, bro. They all want to do that shit. Like there's a kind of white leftist, like a libertarian or whatever, that doesn't trust the government or whatever, and just like that is the person who loves fucking Batman. Like someone who like got like a big ass fucking car and then just like sticks it to the left. Because Batman is not in the movie, I guess people don't come to that conclusion, but that's really what is being shown. That in order to quell the Jokers, because the people are rioting and they're putting clown masks on, but the people are rioting because they're fucking poor. Like, the people are rioting because there's crime in the streets and the streets aren't being cleaned up. They mention all this like unionizing and like how the city's like being put to the standstill and the state isn't helping them and shit like that. Like, those are legitimate concerns. Those are legitimate concerns, and like this movie doesn't do a good job at addressing that core contradiction that people are poor and we need solutions to these answers. The solution they give is we need a Batman. We need somebody to put a mask on and beat everybody up. Doesn't that sound like the whitest shit to y'all? Black Power, Valencia. I'm gonna look at these comments real quick. Shamit says Batman is a cop in a fursuit. Literally, he's a the bat is his fursona. Crow, my dog's Crow, cop with a mask and cape, literally. Black Power, Carmen Naya. Black Power, Karina. Boone Parvin asks, is it class consciousness or about white male incel aggrievement? I think that they villainize the class consciousness. Like, I think when you look at this director, he obviously comes from this kind of like dumbass Joe Rogan ass like rightist kind of viewpoint, right? So I think they look at someone who's gaining class consciousness, like someone who's developing that. They think that they'll go the way of the Joker. They think that that's the natural conclusion to that kind of line, because the Joker, even when he's like becoming the Joker, he's like, bro, I need help. I need my medicine. They shut down, the government shut down my fucking medical services. My mom died. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no job anymore. I got assaulted. You know? But instead, like, I guess it's like this, the cartoonishness of it all that like leads them to this like insane like kind of random violence. It's not hard to come up with, but like it's not revolutionary violence. It's terroristic violence. Like, he's just lighting people up, you know? And that's what like right wing, like regular honkies be fucking thinking. You know what I'm saying? I hope that answered your question, Boom. I'm glad you're breaking this down because I'm sure as hell won't be spending my money to go see it. Batman doesn't even really have a special power. His special power is white privilege. Whew! Period. That's on period. That's all his fucking special power is. And like, you see his dad in this one. Like, in this movie, you see Batman's dad, and all these people are protesting him becoming mayor, and in the protest they have like balloon versions of his dad, and it's like a parody of Trump, right? But like he's not, they don't make him be the bad guy, which is weird to me, because like they usually make Trump like the bad guy, even though we know Trump is just another motherfucking president. Yeah, like he's a dick. Like that Thomas Wayne dude, he's a dick, but he's not the bad guy. And towards the end, you even see him be a victim of a random crime that ends up birthing Batman, if you will. Because we all know Batman became Batman because he saw his parents get shot up. That's pretty much like the ending scene. You feel me? Shamit, you right. That shit reactionary violence. And like your regular schmegular settler can't fucking differentiate the two. That like there's a real issue with the bourgeois. You know what I'm saying? And they are the problems, but they think that like we just want to see the world burn. Just like they say, like this is how Joker says. What we got? Billy says that joke he wrote just shows that he wanted to be famous. He wanted to be a stand-up comedian. That's why he planned to kill himself on the show so people can remember him. But the city changed his mind at the end, and that's why he shot the talk show host. So do you agree that he changed because of the people? Also, remember, he didn't care about the Gotham politics. I think that when he said that he was apolitical, that's due to like the incapacity, like because of the director is incapable of addressing politics. But Joker inherently cared about the politics, because him losing his medication, him even seeing the people, all that is inherently political. You know what I'm saying? Like he said himself, like sometimes people don't understand that everything is political that you do. Everything that you've ever experienced has a political context to it. You know, it didn't come out of nowhere. The ideas in your head don't come out of nowhere. They come from your environment, and your environment is shaped by the politics. You feel me? So like Joker being so upset at the people, upset at how like people didn't care, or how people was rude and all that shit, that is a political statement. You know? Do I agree with the way he changed because of the people? I'm not sure about that question. Could you be more specific? Black Power, Kenya? Yeah, exactly. Like the bourgeoisie only want to make things that like only think the electoral arena, the electoral politics is politics. Everything else is apolitical. That's why they're mad. They're like, why can't we just have like a non-political video game and shit like that? Everything's political. It's not just voting, you know? Let me look at my notes real quick, y'all. I already fucked up the summary, and I'm so self-critical, but there's like so much in this damn movie. Society. Joaquin. The Joker. Okay, yeah. There's this kind of narrative going around that like the Joker represents the most downtrodden of society. And that's some old bullshit, bro. They think that, I'm sorry, I'll be cursing. They think that the Joker represents like the most oppressed kind of masses, and that the Joker being so violent and crazy will inspire those oppressed masses to go be crazy and shit. But the reality is that the really oppressed masses do not go wild out like that, bro. They do not do that shit. We get thrown in jail. We get our land stolen from us. Colonized people are the oppressed masses, and we don't be wilding out like they do. We don't be fucking... We should be wilding out, bro. We should be rising up. But we don't do it like these honkies. We not walking into Walmart and just lighting people up. We don't do that. That's a very like white fear. And to think that like the Joker is one of the like it represents the oppressed masses is silly as fuck, bro. Like you on stolen land, bro. Like you in a house, bro. Like my grandma, I remember when I was a jit in Puerto Rico. For y'all non-Florida people, jit means child. When I was a child in Puerto Rico, my grandma had like a slab of metal as her roof. You know? We would take like showers in like the river, bro. Like white people really don't understand what oppression is. White people don't understand what it feels like to be a colonized person. Like we animals to them. They don't care about our fucking perspective at all. At all. They literally think that the Joker is an oppressed minority. Like, stop. Please stop. Yeah, another thing about like the mentally ill. There's some narratives going around that like this movie is I don't know, like making fun of the mentally ill or saying that they're not worthy of change or like something like that to that effect, that they're not properly cared for and things of that nature. But I don't think this movie, I don't feel like this movie is deep enough to be talking about mental illness. If it tries to talk about mental illness, it does a really fucking bad job. I think that the actual, like just judging from the director's politics, I think that he's saying that leftists are mentally ill. Like someone who is upset with the way society is has to be completely mentally ill because society is failing them. Like they can't function in society. I think it's the same mentality of when people call people, this is not my word, this is like some kind of like settler slang that I don't fuck with, but they say like libtard. I think that's the mentality that this dude is going for. That this is what liberals are. What y'all think? Shamit, third world gang, bathing with a water bucket, been there. Yeah. There's a scene where like, just to drive in that point that like this is not a representation of the oppressed masses. This is not a representation of how like mental illness is affected like by society or anything like that. Like I think that it's a caricature of quote unquote leftists, specifically like the white left. The Joker, because his mom is fucking crazy and used to work for Thomas Wayne, she used to write a whole bunch of letters for him asking him to take us out of poverty. She would be like, oh, he's such a good person, he's such a good person, he's such a good person. And then eventually the Joker becomes under the impression that Thomas Wayne, the billionaire, is his father. So he kind of lurks on Thomas Wayne, trying to get something from him. Like, he acts as if he owes him something. And with all this that I laid out, that the Joker has kind of socialist politics, even though they're misguided. He wants something from the billionaire. You know, he thinks that the billionaire owes him something. And I think that like Fox News people think that way of socialists. They think that socialists just want a handout. You get what I'm saying? That like, oh, if socialism happened, no one would work because the government would just pay for everything. And that's not what motherfucking socialism is, first of all. But I think that anxiety is portrayed in this movie. Real talk. Tito! Black Power, primo. Side note, Batman is the personification of liberal ideology. In the comics, it was pushed that we should rely on bourgeois philanthropy, and in the same way, we should rely on that. We should fear their wrath if at any moment we were to step out of line, no matter what the conditions on the ground are. I unite, but I think that like that kind of perfectly shows how liberal ideology facilitates like full-blown white nationalist violence. You know what I'm saying? Like the comics in the back of the day or whatever, he had like white power and all that shit like that. Like he had his money, you know what I'm saying? He had his whip. But now, like if you've seen The Dark Knight or whatever, he has like a surveillance system that he can see the whole damn city. He has like crazy ninja shit that comes out of his like forearms and shit. Like he has a Batmobile that turns into a motorcycle and then has like bullets and turrets on it and shit, you know? Like I agree with what you're saying, but I think that it's like it to a point, like it just goes to show that liberalism breeds what white people call fascism. Really, what is colonialism that brown and black people been going through since the birth of the European. Shaman. That is kind of the position of the whole psychiatry. That is kind of the position of the whole psychiatry business is right. I'm not clear on that. Okay, Billy. He went on the show to kill himself, but on the way there, he saw the people dressed like clowns, and the protest was on the same day. The director didn't want him to go on stage dressed like a clown, and he killed those three guys out of self-defense, but people saw it as a political stand. So I think he changed his mind because of all that. I think that he just did it like off a whim. I think he changed his mind like when he was on the show and he realized that that his hero, that fucking comedian dude, was just another asshole. You feel me? Like he's another one. He's essentially another bourgeois person. You know what I'm saying? And so he just gave him the wall right there, bruh. Or as long, like, to the socialists, to the real socialists, that's the wall. You know what I mean? But yeah. If, Shamit says, if are unhappy with society, you are mentally ill. Boop. Boop. That's what that is. If you that's where I feel like, yeah, I unite with that sentiment. That this dude thinks that if you are not okay with the way society is being ran, then you are mentally ill. That's that right there. I'm about to like that comment. Kimya says, so Batman and the villains represent different groups of Matthews and Methanese and not African colonized people. 100%. They're just super cops. They're just super cops. And the villain in this one, he's just like a reactionary like terrorist essentially that the regular settler would look at like, that's a leftist. But we who have political education and understanding be like, that's a crazy terrorist. Matthews and Methanese, stop. Fascism is colonization brought home. Just like that. Straight like that. That is literally what fascism is. Like, it's like a white fear that we live all day, every day. If you go to the hood, it's a fascist occupation in there. Always has been. Always fucking has been. Black Power, Quayshawn. Let's see what else is in my notes, y'all. I don't really have much more to say, but wrapping it up, essentially, the Joker is someone who society has let down, and he becomes a beacon. He becomes an idol for protesters, you know what I'm saying, who feel frustrated with the same society. He becomes an inspiration for them because he's crazy enough to go shoot people. And the Joker is so crazy and like so enthralled with himself. He embraces that symbol. He becomes the Joker and lets everything go crazy. Let's be real, like the protesters are pretty much like Antifa or Black Lives Matter activists back in the day, or just hood people uprising. He lets everything go into chaos. And the only answer that this movie provides is that we need bitch-ass Batman to come in his whole military garb to whip us all into shape. So that was my summary, comrades. I hope you enjoy it. I'm so self-critical. I couldn't summarize the plot points or whatever, but I do think that I generally said what I had to say, got my points in the certain different themes, and pointed out the honky narrative. You feel me? So keep these messages coming. Share wherever nerd groups you're in. Keep sharing and hit me up. You know what I'm saying? I'm so down to talk about it in the comments, or message me directly. Add me on Facebook. And yeah, Black Power.